Hi, I'm Jim Rogers, the director of the Diablo Woodturning Center here at Pleasant Hills campus of the Mount Diablo Unified School District. We're in our woodturning studio where we're going to be filming a series of lessons on the various key tools in basic woodturning. Most of what I'm going to be teaching in these ensuing lessons are captured in this book, which we put together from all of our classes, from basics to more advanced courses. So as we go through these series, I'm going to introduce you to one tool after another and try to show you how to set up and use those tools effectively to become a good woodturner. Let me show you some of the things that you might be able to produce as a woodturner. Woodturning got started hundreds of years ago, creating things like this: components for furniture, chair legs, table legs. But all of these complex curves are things that are easily managed if you have the right tools and the right knowledge, and we'll show you some of those things. As our students progress, they may end up doing things like these mud vases, which are done in our beginning class. Our beginning bowls class does projects similar to this. We offer skills at a lot of different levels, and today we're going to start that series with the first tool, the Spindle Roughing Gouge. So let's get started. Hi, Jim Rogers. We're here for lesson 1 of our wood turning tool series, Introduction to the Lathe and the Spindle Roughing Gouge. So I'm standing here at the lathe, and before I get started, I need to talk to you a little bit about safety, because working safely is extremely important. In spindle work, which is what we're going to be starting with, safety glasses is an absolute must. When we do larger projects, bowls, things are heavy, things that can fly and hurt, a full face shield is also required. I'm dressed in a turning smock, which not everybody has, but the key to this is I'm keeping the chips out of my neck, and I have my forearms free so there's nothing that can bind or catch in the lathe. I've got my safety glasses. I've got leather footwear on, so I'm going to be protected if I drop one of these tools accidentally. You know, point down is always the way it goes. So this is the tool we're going to start with, called the Spindle Roughing Gouge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of wood on the lathe, put it in between centers, secure it tightly, check that it's driving and it's not slipping, and it is. All my drives are locked. I'm going to always spin the wood by hand to be sure that it's not interfering against the tool rest. Now, positioning the tool rest for each of the tools is always important, and it's a function both of comfort and of turning properly. I want to present the cutting edge of the tool someplace above this center line. But at the same time, I don't want to be like this, tired in my shoulders at the end of the day, or the tool rest so low that I have a backache at the end of the day. So I'm going to press the tool on the tool rest. I'm going to stand here in what feels comfortable to me, and I'm going to just look and see if that cutting edge, this portion here, is slightly above that line. And where I've got it set now seems okay at the moment, so we'll give that a try. Now, one of the first rules we teach in wood turning is the ABCs of wood turning. A, anchor. That means, to me, to the tool rest and my hand. Now, these are light touches. I don't have to hold it very hard because the motor on this lathe is doing the work. I'm just pointing the tool in the right place. B, bevel. That's this portion of the tool here behind the cutting edge. And I'm going to rub that, in this case because it's square, bang it for a little while, against the wood. And C, I'm going to slowly raise my hand until the edge right up here starts to cut the wood. Anchor the tool, rub the bevel, raise the handle to start to cut. If the cut's too deep, I can simply drop the handle a little bit. Up and down is sort of like our gas pedal on our car. So, looks free. I've got the lathe set for about 1500 RPM. On the tool rest, up against my hip. I've got my feet positioned so I can move properly along here. Handle is very low. It's 45 degrees down here. You need to see this angle. Raise the handle to start the cut. If the cut's too deep, I can simply drop the handle a little bit. Up and down is sort of like our gas pedal on our car. So, looks free. I've got the lathe set for about 1500 RPM. On the tool rest, up against my hip. I've got my feet positioned so I can move properly along here. Handle is very low. It's 45 degrees down here. You need to see this angle. Because when I approach the wood, nothing is going to cut, and that's what I want. As I raise the handle, I'll reach a place where I'll start getting a little chip right there. And now, without moving it any farther forward, I'll slowly lean to the right. Each time, all over again. Raise. You also notice I'm working from the center towards the end. If I start here and try to come in, I'm going to catch this corner, and that's not a safe thing to do. So I want to work off the end of the piece. Off this end here, what can I do? I could come over here, but look what happens. I'm over here, my work's over here. I really need, at this point, to change hands. So now I'm going to do the same cut, but I'm going to do it with my left hand. Are there right-handed turners? Yeah. Are there left-handed turners? Yep. Do we need to know both? Yeah, absolutely. This is a left-handed cut. So again, anchor the tool. It's against my hip on the tool rest. And right now, it's not cutting, and that's what I want. Now as I raise the handle, there it picks up a little bit of a chip each time. And you see I'm not holding it with very strong pressure on my right hand. Sometimes I see this. Here's what's happening. We've gone past that point I want to cut. And these two corners of the tool are beginning to dig in and pull the tool. It means we've raised the handle too far. So start all over again, anchor. There's the cut. Once the corners are knocked off, I can go all the way back and forth. Now what I'm doing is holding the tool steady. I've got my feet placed and my knees loose, and I'm transferring my weight from my left foot to my right foot when I go this way. My weight is totally on my right foot. My weight's totally on my left foot. How do I know when it's round? Well, the easiest thing to do, it's bouncing a little bit. So if I turn the lathe off and look at it, I'm going to find that there's still a flat. A couple of flats on here that haven't been taken care of. So I need another cut or two. Now, I don't know if you could hear that. When I reached the point that this became round, the sound changed. That sound disappeared, and I began to hear a more steady sound. So listen as you work. You're going to begin to find that your ears are going to give you useful information too. So that's fairly parallel. There's a lot of little lines on there, and that's because I move fairly rapidly. So if I go slowly, I can clean that up. If I look at my surface now, all those little lines, those little things that look like screw threads have disappeared because I slowed my cut down and I worked carefully. So let me tell you something else about this tool. I told you that it has a bevel, it has a cutting edge, and the other thing that you may be able to see is this is ground straight across. It's ground straight across because in some furniture work there are times that I really bring the tool up and work like this, and I'll give you a demonstration of that in a minute. But as the edge gets dull from working here, there's nothing to prevent me from rolling the tool slightly one way or the other and using a sharper portion of the edge than where I started. It would look sort of like this. There's where I started. I'll turn to the right a little bit. Use a different portion of the edge, and I hope you can hear the sound of that thing. It sounded clean, it sounded quiet, and that's from a sharper edge. It's important to keep the tool sharp. You'd think that softwood, this is a piece of poplar here, which is a fairly soft hardwood, but it's abrasive like all woods are. So this edge already has started to wear down a little bit here. So I want to go show you how to sharpen this tool, and then we'll come back and make a few more cuts. We're at the grinders now, and I want to show you how to sharpen the spindle roughing gouge, and several of the things I'm going to show you will apply to all of the sharpening processes for all the different tools. There are a number of different ways to do it, and in our 15 years here at the classroom we've determined which one we feel is the safest way to get that done. One of the ways could be to use the arm of the sharpening fixture, put the tool here and rotate it, but we've not liked that because of the possibility if this slips, the tool coming down in here and damaging or breaking the stone. It is a high risk sharpening technique which we do not do. This technique is not used here. This is the way we do it. This is just a platform, and there's several different ones that can be used. Anyone will do the job. What we're going to do is lay the tool flat on the platform and simply roll the tool against the sharpening stone like this. It requires you to be sure that you don't raise and lower your handle or you accidentally fan it. So I want to do it very straight because I want to keep this edge square like I just mentioned a little while ago. To get the angle just right, here's a technique that works really, really well. I'm going to take a felt marker and I'm literally going to color the edge of this tool. And now I'm going to go to the grinder and very quickly just touch that edge. Don't need it up at full speed. And if you could look closely, you would see that the grinder is touching this edge from the very cutting edge to the very heel of the bevel, that it's making proper contact. If it was touching just at the top, that means the platform is set a little too high and needs to be lowered. If it was touching just at the heel, I'd have to adjust the platform up. So you can easily adjust your platform to get an optimal touch on the whole edge. I had this one preset to save us a little time, but I did check it by running that black felt marker across there. So here's the sharpening technique. Let the grinder come up to speed. Lay the tool flat here. The left hand is just holding it down. My right hand is at the heel of the tool to do this. So I'm going to bring it up, touch it to the wheel, and roll it around. I don't know if you see that very well, but one pass, because I had pre-sharpened this tool with this exact setting. So when I went back to touch it up, it required very little extra work. If you have to readjust a lot, you'll do some regrinding, and that shortens your tool life. I want to show you something else we have here at school, and that is these particular kind of wheels. If we can come over to this grinder, I can show you the difference real quickly. This is the standard aluminum oxide wheels which comes with most of your grinders. They work fine, but they do get smaller. This was originally 8 inches. It's smaller now. This is a CBN, cubic boron nitride wheel, which is fused, the boron nitride is fused to a steel background. This one does not change size, It doesn't load up with metal fibers like you can see the black over here. And where I would never touch this wheel, this one is very safe. It kind of cleans your finger a little bit, but it's safe. So we've set up here with a more expensive wheel, but for the purposes of providing the greatest amount of safety possible. I put another blank on here because I want to show you one of the other characteristics this tool has. When you're doing furniture, many times you want a square apron around the top of a leg or spindle that'll get fastened into the framing, but yet you want the project of the leg to be turned around. How do I get up to this close corner? Well, using this square corner of this tool, I can actually do that. I lay the tool over on its side, almost vertically, and I can go in here and bring that roughing cut up right to the end of that area. If I did it with the center of the tool, I would run into it with part of the tool I did not want to use. Now this needs to be cleaned up, but you see how close I can get by using the edge of this tool right here. Well, that's the basic cuts for the spindle roughing gouge. We've shown you how to make the cut. We've shown you how to hold it and move it with your body. We've covered the sharpening of the tool and a couple other aspects for it. Lesson number 2, I'm going to show you how to make this thing really smooth. We'll do part 1 of the skew chisel. See you next time.